Welcome to tonight's Candidate Forum. The Candidate Forum is being hosted this evening by the Government Relations Committee from the Warrensburg Chamber of Commerce. My name is Alan Brandt, and I serve on the Board of Directors for the Warrensburg Chamber of Commerce, and I serve as the Chairman of the Government Relations Committee. So we have a Candidate Forum put together for you this evening. You're going to hear from candidates seeking a role and seat for the Johnson County Community Health Services Board, and as we've hosted these forums, we've received feedback and we've tried to implement that feedback. So one of the pieces of feedback that we got was a reading of the responsibilities of each of these roles would be really nice for the audience. So at the Johnson County Board of Services, the Johnson County Health Services Board member is responsible for adopting policies for the operation for Johnson County Community Health Services. It is also responsible for setting the annual public health tax levy rate. The board is instrumental in designing the strategic plan, implementing public health programs, and adopting public health ordinances designed to improve health for all those who live, work, and visit Johnson County. They serve as a liaison between the community and the health department. The second race you'll hear from is for the Western Missouri Medical Center Board of Trustees. Two candidates seeking one seat there. The Hospital Board of Trustees responsibility reads, the board has several critical responsibilities. Among them, the board oversees the development, approval, and successful implementation of the hospital strategies. It is responsible for hiring, determining the compensation of, and evaluating the CEO. The Board of Trustees has ultimate responsibility for the quality of care and patient safety provided by the hospital and is accountable for the appointment and performance of the medical staff. Trustees are also responsible for ensuring sound and successful fiscal performance by the hospital. The third candidate forum you'll hear from is City Council. There is an uncontested race. You'll hear from two folks seeking a role in the City Council in an uncontested race. And finally, we have a couple of experts who will give talking points on ballot issues. This is all relevant for a race and election that's happening on April 4th. So with that, I'd like to thank two parties. First, I want to thank the audience. Thank you for taking time to become an educated, more rounded voter, understanding who the candidates are and what the issues are. And a thank you to the candidates themselves. It is a donation of time and talents back to your community to seek election into one of these roles and then serve in that capacity. It's not easy. It's not easy. So thank you. Thank you. Finally, I'll give some recognition before passing it over to Marion Woods. So I want to recognize the venue. The American Legion Post 131 has donated their space to us this evening so that we can be out of the wind and have our candidate forum in a nice venue. I want to thank my peers who serve on the Government Relations Committee. I want to thank the timekeepers that we have keeping us on target and on time tonight. BSA Troop 7513 is helping us stay on time. The Star Journal is here documenting tonight's activities, and we'll make it available in the days leading up to the election so that even folks that aren't here in the audience can become an informed voter in our community. If we have any chamber ambassadors, past or current chamber ambassadors in the audience, please give a quick wave. Marion, you are a past chamber ambassador.
Oh, okay.
If we have any elected officials, if you'll also do the same, just a quick wave if you're an elected official here in the audience. Thank you very much for taking time to come out for tonight's events. With that, I'll pass things over to Marion Woods, who will serve as our moderator this evening. He'll have some talking points on how the logistics of tonight will work, and he'll invite all the candidates up to the stage as well. You'll hear from me again at the very end of tonight's candidate forum. Thank you very much and enjoy tonight's candidate forum.
Thank you, Alan. It says here that I will explain the format and some rules and read a disclaimer, so I'll get to that first. Of course, chamber members and the general public submitted all questions. The Governmental Relations Committee finalized them. All candidates were given the questions in advance. As a public service, the Greater Warrensburg Area Chamber of Commerce's role tonight is to sponsor this event, to allow the public to hear from the candidates seeking office so that they may better make informed decisions about their representatives in government. The Warrensburg Chamber of Commerce is a nonpartisan organization, and in that nonpartisan spirit, has to the best of its ability strived to put fairness above all by including and obtaining consensus between the county committee chairpeople and in every aspect of the planning of the event, and by including any and all candidates seeking office regardless of party affiliation in tonight's candidate forum. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes in the beginning to introduce themselves, and then in a rotation that I've selected, each candidate will get 1.5 minutes each to answer 5 different questions. And I have already determined the order that I will do some of that. Did that in advance before I got here even. Timekeepers will be holding up paddles indicating how much time is remaining. That's the people at the front table up here will keep you on track so we don't go too long. You can go as short as you want, just don't go too long. Our first group will be for Johnson County Community Health Services, 2 seats, 4-year term. And with all 6 of those, please take their place at your name tag at the table at the front. Each of the candidates will be given 2 minutes to introduce themselves and share their qualifications for the position. And we'll start just like it has in the program here that I have anyway. Number 1, in the number 1 spot right over here, you get to go first.
Okay, fantastic.
There's a microphone right here.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jacqueline Langston. I grew up in Lee Summit and graduated from there. Shortly after, I moved to the Holden area, and that was a huge shock going from Lee Summit to Holden. And then me and my husband, we have 9 children together, and we homeschool them. We've got a couple that have graduated from homeschooling. We have a daughter-in-law and a grandbaby coming this fall. With this many people in my immediate family, it's kind of like I'm running my own health board. I'm an 8-year survivor of aggressive and invasive breast cancer, and so with that, I learned the importance of real, reliable research. And so I've learned that that's something that we need to make sure that we do in this journey of being on the health board. A few of my sons and I like to weirdly participate in marathons, so we're always out doing that kind of stuff. And you know, I always appreciate having family together and being able to do those things. I'm involved in this community through being a civic member of the Warrensburg's Community Chamber of Commerce. I created Johnson County Freedom Keepers, and I am the vice president of our county's Right to Life. I am also now the president of Johnson County Fairgrounds. So I'm looking forward to being able to add the Johnson County Community Health Services to this list of activities that I'm involved in.
Darlene, you're next.
I'm Darlene Buxted. I live out in the southwest corner of the county with my husband. I love being a farmer's wife. I also loved working in healthcare, which I did for 50 years. When it was time to retire, I missed it, but it's okay. I have other things to do with my time now, and one of them is this health board. I enjoy being part of the group that cares for the entire county. We have a wide variety of people here with a wide variety of needs, and we try to meet those needs to the very best of our ability, and I love it. And I'm asking for your vote when it comes time to vote.
All right, thank you. Is that it?
I'll stop at that. I could go on for a while.
Well, go ahead. You have time left.
The only other thing I thought I might say is, yes, I have been and am involved in other things. I was a 4-H leader for years, and my daughter aged out of that. I am active in my church, have been my entire life. and am active in some other things in the community like Farm Bureau, which matches what we do for a living. And it's been a great life living here. Thank you.
All right, next, Rachel.
Well, I'll apologize ahead of time for reading mine, but if I go off script, I go way over time. So, my name's Rachel Gifford, and I'm married to Jerry Ellis, who many of you may know. I've lived in the area with Jerry, married for the last 10 years. I'm an RN, and I have a master's degree. I worked at KU Medical Center for 13 years doing diabetes research and education for physicians, for nurses, and for patients. I initiated the Diabetes and Pregnancy Clinic at KU Medical Center as the girls in our pediatric clinic grew up and started having babies. Blood sugar monitoring was brand new back then, so that was kind of, we were roaming the plains with the dinosaurs, kind of. But, so I started a clinic and helped the OBGYN doctors understand how to do blood sugar monitoring and how to use that to manage our patients. I also ran a biostatter program. Biostatter is an artificial pancreas, and we used it for diabetic patients during surgery or for labor and delivery to keep their blood sugar normal. During this time, I worked on soft money, meaning I needed to write grants to support my research and salary. So I'm very familiar with that process, which I think could be really helpful for increasing the income for JCCHS. During that time, I was also able to publish my research in medical and nursing journals. I left KUMC from Marion Labs doing phase 3 studies, which is the safety and efficacy studies, as well as health, economic, and quality of life studies. Ultimately, Santa Fe moved to New Jersey, and I took that opportunity to start and run a business for 10 years, doing CME, continuing medical education, for physicians relicensure.
Got it in there. I guess. Thank you, Rachel. Kay, you're next.
Hi, I'm Kay Stauffer, and I'm running for re-election to the Board of Trustees. I'm from a military family. My father was stationed at Whiteman, and so I went kindergarten through 4th grade there. And then because this area was home, we moved back here when he retired, so I was able to graduate from Knob High School. I'm real proud of that. I attended UCM, and then I trained as a medical technologist. And a lot of you probably know that would be called a lab tech. I worked at the lab at Western Missouri and also at a medical office here in town for about 10 years before I married an Air Force guy, and we went off and did our thing, and then we came back. And we've been back here for 30 years. We raised our 3 sons here, and now we're grandparents to 6 grandchildren. So I've always been interested in medical issues, and I've really gained an appreciation of how vital protecting the health of a population is. When I was asked to run 11 years ago for the Board of Trustees, I saw that as a way to use my interest and my background to serve the community. I've really enjoyed being on the board, and I'm seeking your vote for re-election. Thank you.
David?
Hello, everybody. My name is David Green. I've been in Warrensburg since 2008. We live north of town off 400 Road. Originally, I'm from a little town in Arkansas called Cache, if anybody, just outside of Jonesboro. I have a lovely bride of almost 26 years now, and we have a 8-year-old. He's sitting over there. My wife works for the USDA, and she's traveling this week. After high school, I attended Texas A&M. I have a bachelor's degree in agriculture and applied economics. I also have a master's degree in agriculture, and then I attended Mississippi and hold a law degree from there. We farm here and down in the Boot Hill, Dunklin County, Missouri. We chase cows. I run a consulting company. We have a seed company, and we're in the process of starting a land management, mulching, and excavation company. I am just about to graduate from the Missouri ALOT program, which is the Agricultural Leaders Up Tomorrow. And currently, I have the honor of serving as president of the School Advisory Council for Sacred Heart in Sedalia. And other than that, I've been on numerous committees at our church, Sacred Heart. I'm on the Holy Mowers team. I serve on the Extension Council, and I've also been a member of Farm Bureau. Thank you.
Raymond?
I'm Ray James. Somebody told me that Johnson County had roads with gold dust. It's dust, but necessarily gold dust. It's not gold dust. But I fell for that. I came and visited some folks over here when I was stationed over at Fort Riley and decided the area is real nice. And we put that on the top of our list for when we would retire from the Army. So we purchased the property in 2000 and we moved in 2001. And we've been over by Leeton, between Leeton and Windsor since then. Just a hobby farm. I don't have enough money to farm full time. But a couple cows, it's peaceful, keeps the blood pressure down. Most of the time. Yeah, not all the time. But anyway, when you're sitting on the porch drinking a coffee or whatever, it can be kind of nice. So I worked in public health for the military and civilian. I worked for 2 different health departments over the years, and it'd be about, not quite 40 years, about 37. But anyway, I've got the time. I think people should give back to their community, and I figure this is something I can do, and so that's why I'm asking for your vote on 4 April. If you don't want to go down and vote tomorrow, the polls are open at the courthouse. I always forget the time, but I'm going to look over and make sure I say it right. 8:30 to 4:30. Does that sound right?
You're stealing my thunder, Ray, but yes, that's right.
But the early voting, it's nothing wrong with early voting. And she's going to be open Saturday. I won't mention the hours. She'll tell you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. And the first question turns out to be a 3. I shuffled these cards, and so the 3rd card on the list, I don't think it makes a lot of difference, but we'll start with number 3. What are key strategies for improving public health in our community?
I think that one of our biggest issues is people are not completely aware of what all the health department offers. We offer a lot of different programs for different needs, for different age groups. We try to meet many, many, many needs. When people realize what all we do, they go, huh? We're the people who inspect the septic system when you build a new house. We're the people who see you at home when you've broken your hip and you're in recovery. We offer vaccines. We offer the WIC program. We have a lot of programs. So, what are key strategies? Improving the public knowledge of this and encouraging people to actually take care of their health. There's a lot of, well, I'm fine now. Well, we would like it if we could help you maintain that, is my thinking. They tell me I have 30 seconds left, and I think one of the biggest strategies is to use our budget wisely, and we do that. We are very careful to make sure we maintain an even in and outgoing budget and make sure that we meet the needs to the best of our abilities.
All right, thank you. Same question for Rachel. She's next. I'll repeat the question for each of you. What are key strategies for improving public health in our community?
I've attended the JCCHS board meetings over the last year and a half, and one of the first things that's really struck me is we're not solvent, we're running in the red. And I really think there are a lot of things that we can do to help broaden the income base. One thing could be offering more assistance to the community, like we could do pre-visit blood draws if someone has a physician specialist in Kansas City that they go see. And, do that on a regular basis for a nominal fee. I think we could do some non-government grants to supplement the money from Medicare and Medicaid that is coming in with all of the home health, or excuse me, not home health, but the home visits and the WIC programs. I just think there's a lot that we can do to broaden that base of income. That's my
Okay.
goal. Yeah.
That's fine. You don't have to use all the time, but you can't go past. Okay, Kay's next. And what are key strategies for improving public health in our community?
First of all, we have to identify the needs. And sometimes the state of Missouri charges the local public health agencies with a particular challenge. For instance, recently, the last few years, Rhonda could tell us for sure, but the state of Missouri has wanted us to focus on lead testing or prevention of lead poisoning in children. Totally preventable if we can catch it. So that's one of the things that we've been doing. You may have noticed some of those. Another thing that our agency uses, just one other thing, is an evaluation that's done, I believe yearly, by an outside group that gathers data and gives us a grade. And I'm really happy to tell you that the county of Johnson ranks number 5 currently out of 114 counties in Missouri for county health rankings. They look at lots of things. So they also point out we lose points for certain things, that sometimes we can help and sometimes we can't. But when we see those weaknesses, we devote resources, time, personnel, testing, education, etc. to those topics. So always evaluating.
Thank you. Next question, or the same question for David, and the question is, what are key strategies for improving public health in our community?
First off, I think we really need to streamline the process for people to get help. And we also need to start getting involved more with the schools, hospitals, doctors, offices, the clinics, and especially I see we have a couple representatives here of first responders, and really get them to kind of be, because they're the people who deal with everybody, the community on a daily basis. We need to really get them to help us, and also we need to get churches involved. What we really have to think about is getting businesses involved, the local businesses. They really need to buy into the vision and what's going on to help get everything out. We can work with government grants. I also think we should start trying to do some little pop-up tents, maybe at Walmart, where we're doing some basic blood pressure, heart tests, so that we can catch things early and really start trying to push children's vaccinations. Thank you.
All right, Raymond, the question is, what are key strategies for improving public health in our community?
Well, talk about stealing thunder. I was going to talk about those surveys that you push out to hear from the community. What do you want us to do that we're not doing? But I think that funding is important, and certainly going after grants. I think that working with partners in the community and partners with other health departments in the region is also a very good strategy. As far as starting new programs, I really don't know that we're at a position where we can do that, but we at least need to look at those. But certainly that lead in children is a high priority for us. We have a lot of older homes, and we got a battery factory. And so as long as we've got older homes and we got a battery factory, that's gonna be something we're gonna have to focus on and keep focusing on. Thank you.
All right, down to Jacqueline. She will get the last one for this question. What are key strategies for improving public health in our community?
So I was doing a lot of research on public health issues that were going on in our country, period. And one that I was seeing that really stuck out to me was STDs in this country, period. And when I was looking on health.mo.gov, the CDC, and then our own health department website, I was seeing that between 2015 and 2018, we had a 147% increase in STDs in our county alone. And so that was concerning to me, not having the education and having that be a forefront in sex education for children. And so for me, especially a mom of 9 children, and needing to be able to educate them in these things and knowing that this could be consequences that could last for the rest of your life, I think that that's something that needs to be done in the health department. Because I know we do STD testing, but is there more than that in this county? I did not see that on the website, so I think that that would be something that would be important to look at, because 1 in 5 people in this country alone have some form of STD. And it costs approximately 16 billion with a B to take care of those medical costs. So that's where I would start.
All right, thank you. We move on to question number 5. And Rachel will be first. And I'll read the question. How should Johnson County Community Health Services improve the communication with the public about what services are available to our community?
I think that's a great question. First of all, we've got a website that some of you may have visited or may not have, but JCCHS has a wonderful website that I recommend you go to find out who JCCHS is, what we do, what is offered, etc., etc. So that's a one-way communication. I agree with the folks down here too who were talking about surveys and community forums. I think those are remarkably important, and those can be done by mail, they can be done in person, they could be done online, any of those things, so that JCCHS hears from the community what the community wants, and then we can work from there. Currently, the monthly meetings are open to anybody from the public who wants to come. So I would encourage that too, and it's televised online. So both of those can be ways to find out what's happening. We could have open houses, we could do blood pressure and health fairs and that sort of thing as well. And I think any of those are opportunities. We need to hear from you, so that's essential. We need to hear from you, so you tell us, okay?
All right. Kay's next. How should Johnson County Community Health Services improve the communication with the public about what services are available to our community?
Well, I'm sure you're all aware that the means of getting information out has changed drastically in the last number of years. Newspapers and phone books don't reach our clientele. So we do have a public relations person on staff, and she is trying to use creative methods, certainly social media. Follow us on Facebook. Public events, you'll see us at fairs and parades and other public events. Also, we're available for speaking opportunities to your organizations, and just also interacting with other healthcare providers. We do have a relationship with various medical providers in the area. And Woody might be one of the most well-informed persons in this room, because I know you do have our staff visit the radio station occasionally. So we are often overlooked, but we are a vital source here in our community, and we really do exist to serve, and that's our desire.
Thank you, Kate. David, next question for you is, how should Johnson County Community Health Services improve the communication with the public about what services are available to the community?
Yes, sir. Thank you. First, I would like to say that I'd be willing to wager with most people in here that if we went to Walmart, the grocery store, UCM, or the air base and polled 10 people, 9 of them couldn't name you 3 services provided by the health. So we really are going to have to start working more with social media, and I love that they have a Facebook page, but very few young people deal with Facebook. They don't like it. They're Instagram, they're all the others out there, and we need to really expand that footprint to get them. Maybe even putting up videos on YouTube, trying to get people drawn into the area to watch a quick video on it. We have to be very efficient in how we go about this, and really, if we can get some of the local businesses on our side and they'll start talking about it, then we'll have a lot better shot of getting people to understand. Thank you.
All right, Ray, the next question for you is, same one. How should Johnson County Community Health Services improve the communication with the public about what services are available to the community?
Yeah, I talked to a longtime resident when I was first in the county, and I was saying, that I was using that phrase, health department, and the guy was like, we don't have a health department. He just had the visiting home nurses, the home health, out to his house the day before, but he didn't understand Johnson County Community Health Services. He knew that term, he just didn't understand health department. But yeah, Johnson County Community Health Services is a health department. But yes, I would say we actually need to go old school with flyers. When we're putting flyers up at various businesses, when we have classes, what services are available, that type of thing would help. The website I think is pretty good, but we got a lot of old links on there. Bedbug link doesn't work, and so we want to make sure that we're updating that and checking those links. There's a really long list of links under environmental. I don't know how they all got there, but whoever put them up is great, but we need to maintain those. I'm making fun of myself here, folks. But they've been busy the last 2 years, and they're going to get on it, but we definitely need to do that. But yeah, that social media, trying to use all the ones that we can use is the other way to do it. But flyers where people are there, that's how you reach the homeless and the real young people. Thank you.
All right. Jacqueline's next when she gets the mic. How should Johnson County Community Health Services improve the communication with the public about what services are available to our community?
So during the pandemic, we all know that all eyes went to the health board, and sometimes not in a good light. And then whenever something would be posted on Facebook, there would be an argument that would ensue after that. So Facebook kind of is tainted there. I think that because I have not seen personally there being a booth at the farmers market or town festivals, that would be a good time to have a health board member and then staff that's there, so that way the people can actually talk to them instead of just having the stigma of what went on with the pandemic, that they can see who's representing them and talk to them and build a good rapport with them. So I just think that we need that one-on-one or a couple of people in order to have those conversations and then see who is on the board and build that relationship back up.
All right. Thank you. Darlene is next. How should Johnson County Community Health Services improve the communication with the public about what services are available to our community?
I think communicating with the public is something that can always be improved. Think of a marriage. You can improve communication there too, even if you have the best already. However, We have several things that we currently do, which might be expanded on. Yes, we have a website. Yes, we have Facebook. We work with the college when they have programs that deal with their students. This is the only organization I have ever been a part of that they take condoms with them to conferences. There's a reason for that. These kids need a little education, and we're helping to provide that. We have a block party every year. Yes, it's in July or August, but that's perfect timing for kids to line up for their pre-fall vaccinations, and it reaches out to the public. It's on the street right outside the health department. Yes, we like to be at fairs, and something which might not occur to you as a real reach out, we have interns for some of our programs. We reach out to college programs that match up with what we do and try to make it a working relationship.
All right, thank you. Let's flip over the cards, and now we're going to question 4, and we'll start with Kay. Question 4. Are there resources Johnson County Community Health Services currently provides that should be abandoned or diverted? And please explain.
Well, one of the board's major roles is financial oversight. We receive a monthly report on the finances of the agency, and it's a very good way to monitor the programs and the services, but our administrator and the management staff is very much on the alert, making certain that funds are accomplishing the overall goal. I can't think of a current program that's on the chopping block, but you may be aware that a few years ago, we discontinued offering hospice. And that was a really hard decision for us to come to because we had been one of the first hospice providers in this community. But we simply couldn't afford to keep the personnel and program available. Instead, we invested in our home health program, and we actually have expanded that and given a lot of resources to that. And our home health program ranks very high in our community. The providers are often given feedback that they would recommend them to other people. So we are keeping an eye on things in that way.
All right, thank you. David, are there resources Johnson County Community Health Services currently provides that should be abandoned or diverted?
Every service is vital if you're the person using it, so we really need to take a deep dive into looking at all the programs. How many people have applied for that program? How many people have been refused because of the lack of funds or not? And then we can start looking, because our goal should be to help as many people as possible. And sometimes some of these programs have a very high cost, but they don't really help as many people as other programs should. So before I could answer this, I would really like to see the numbers and how many people are on each one, what's the breakdown of the money, and how many people are we turning away. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Ray, are there resources Johnson County Community Health Services currently provides that should be abandoned or diverted?
Not abandoned, no. So some of those programs, like taking a look at those child care centers, if you didn't do those locally, you could try to put those back on the state. But you know, in the state, back in 2000, they had 5 people in an environmental office to service this section of the state. They've maybe got 1 there now. You might be able to get them to answer the phone. They don't have the staffing. They're not going to take that program back. But we need that program to be done, those inspections done. The operator can't operate if he doesn't have an inspection. If he doesn't have a timely inspection, I'm a business owner, I can't open. I don't have a liquor license. Where's that sanitarian at? So, we really can't cut that back. Definitely not eliminate. Thank you.
Good. On down to Jacqueline here, same question. Are there resources Johnson County Community Health Services currently provides that should be abandoned or diverted?
So without having all the data in front of me, like how much money is allocated there, or who is using those and how often they're using it, I feel that unless I had that information, it would be irresponsible for me to make that kind of a judgment, because I also don't know specifically how each program is provided. So that would be my stance on that, is that right now I don't think that I can make that kind of a judgment call.
All right. Darlene, are there resources Johnson County Community Health Services currently provides that should be abandoned or diverted?
Every month, all of the managers make a report to the board. This is what we're doing in our department. This is how many people we're helping. If we had to refuse any, why did we have to refuse any? How is it growth going up or down? How is our individual department using the budgeted money? I think we are doing very well in managing that. And like I say, every manager is acutely aware. We as a board try to make sure every dime we're given to work with is well taken care of, well used, and would not hesitate to ask for more, but don't think we have a pot of gold at the end of our rainbow either. But we do watch out for your money, and we make sure that we're taking care of this county to the very best of our abilities.
All right, thank you. Rachel, are there resources Johnson County Community Health Services currently provides that should be abandoned or diverted?
I don't think so. From visiting as a member of the public, from visiting the JCCHS meetings over the last year and a half, I think every single thing they're doing is essential. What I really want to see, though, is for us to broaden our income base so that truly we can reach out to even more people.
Okay, the end of that question. We'll move on to question number 2. We get to start with David on this one, I guess. Question 2, what role should the Community Health Board be in managing and supporting mental health in our community?
First off, I think mental health is a big problem right now. And we should start by, we need to really work with other people in the community, get signs to watch for. I know a while back I happened to be in Jeff City when Governor Parsons did some work with agriculture and on developing, because suicide rates have been increasing very much with there, and we could kind of work with some of the existing programs in really pushing to get people to know of the phone numbers they can call, the flyers, what we should watch for, because a lot of times people just need somebody to talk to, and it's a sad thing that not everybody has that, but I wish we could. And also, there are numerous state, federal, and private grants that are adding support for mental health, and I would hope that we could start looking at some of those to find ways to get the funds so that we could provide more help, even if it is just bringing on somebody to talk to. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, great. What role should the Community Health Board be managing and supporting in mental health in our community?
Traditionally, especially here in Missouri, mental health has not been seen as public health. Lately, there's some thought that it should be. Obviously, no funding for that yet, either from the state or the federal. I think that low cost, you let the folks use some meeting rooms that you have. You invite some groups to try to form. I don't know if you still have the grief group that existed when you had home health, if that group is still going or not. But groups like that, perhaps try to offer that as a meeting space for your parents that have problems with children doing drugs and whatnot, that type of thing. Like I say, again, that'd be a low-cost item. Those flyers putting the numbers out there, who to call when you're feeling down, so you got somebody to talk to. That would be something that could be done. But mainly, I think it's going to be communication, low cost.
All right, we go to Jacqueline. What role should the Community Health Board be in managing and supporting mental health in our community?
I think that looking at surrounding counties' mental health policies and procedures can enlighten our health board to the pros and cons that come with these kinds of solutions, and doing research for grants that are geared toward mental health programs is a must as well. Finding certified mental health professionals may not be super easy during this time because of the rise of mental health plaguing our country, but I feel that they are a vital piece to the puzzle in building that bridge for people that need those things to them, their programs, and building stability for them, and that they're more likely to stay in those programs if they have a professional that they feel heard and that is helping them through that journey for stability. So I think that it's really important that we have grants for that, and that we're looking at the pros and cons that we can fix ourselves and go with, so that way we can hopefully help these people that need mental stability for themselves.
All right. Same question, Darlene. What role should the Community Health Board have in managing and supporting mental health in our community?
Number one, we support mental health in any way we can. Number two, mental health is a difficult program because it's never me that needs mental health assistance. It's always my neighbor. And having people admit that they need to participate can be a problem. But I think we should have a program available for that. But we as an organization do not have the funding nor the staff for that. If we could get further funding and set up a program accordingly, I think it would be great. But it would be a major undertaking. But I do think that it is needed. There is not an area of work in this county that doesn't need a little support from mental health once in a while. So yes, I think it's a great idea. I think right now we're not set up to do it.
All right, thank you. Rachel, what role should the Community Health Board have in managing and supporting mental health in the community?
Well, my first question is, how is the community defining mental health? I mean, there are all kinds of issues of mental health. One wonders if this question may have come up because of an increased number of unhomed people in our area, many of whom have mental health issues going on. So the question is that what the community is wanting us to find help for? If so, one has to look at the long-term realities of, if we have a program to address that, that means that probably a lot more unhomed people will be sent to our area. Is our community ready for that? Is that what they're really looking for? What things do you really want the Johnson County Community Health Services to be working with? I mean, there's also the issue of, there's a drag queen show for children that's been offered in our town. This is the second year now. And what does that do for mental health? Do you want Johnson County Community Health Services to be part of that? So we need to hear from the community. What do you really mean when you say, we'd like you to get involved in mental health? Because then we can write grants, or we can look for community business partners to try to bring in the money required for those programs.
All right, thank you. And one more with this question. What role, this is Kay's, what role should the Community Health Board have in managing and supporting mental health in our community?
Well, a few years ago, I know a survey was done, and mental health issues was one of the primary needs that was identified. As we all know, as it's already been mentioned, it's not a simple solution. It's not just substance abuse, it's not just housing, it's not just access to care, etc. So our agency does participate with other medical providers, the hospital, UCM Health, other local physicians. I know law enforcement is in on these conversations, folks that are providing housing, substance abuse providers. There is a conversation going on, but as Darlene mentioned, we have not been tasked with anything within the health department at this point. We can support, we do when we see a need and are able to fill it, but as far as us taking the lead on this, that's not been tasked to us, but we are very much willing to be in the support position.
All right, thank you. The last question, and that will be number 1 on my list. I'll remind everybody there are 2 seats for 4-year terms on the Johnson County Community Health Services Board. And the last question kind of speaks to that. What is your motivation for pursuing one of these seats? Right?
Well, my motivation, basically I'm sitting there retired, I got a little bit of time. I have always thought that you need to give to your community and help out. I think this is something that I can do from my background and experience. I'm not saying I'm in the trench there with the septic guy telling him, no, I'm on the board. So it's, are we providing these services and doing things? I think I can do that. So education-wise, just associate degree, lots of courses in the Army NCO school system, that type of thing. I served 4 years on the Emergency Services 911 Board. The last duty assignment I had, I'm forgetting the number of how many personnel, right around 40 I think, and a $10 million budget that I had. So I do know a little bit about budgeting, that type of thing. And I think I can do the job, I want to do the job. I think we need to support our health department and its employees, not protest them, support them. Thank you.
All right. Microphone all the way down to the end, to Jacqueline. And what is your motivation for pursuing one of these seats?
Well, as you can tell, I'm involved in a lot of different groups in this community. I just want to keep this community very wonderful and well-diversed as it is. And so I feel that being able to meet with people and let them voice their concerns and opinions and being that voice when going to a board meeting is very important, because during the pandemic, a lot of us didn't feel heard. And so that is a concern when you feel that your opinions going towards the people that you voted for to be in those places are not being heard and moving forward with the decisions that are being made. So for me, it's just making sure that voices in this community are still heard and being able to protect the wholesomeness in this community for my children and generations to come.
Thank you. Darlene, what is your motivation for pursuing one of these seats?
I love helping people. When I was in grade school, if somebody fell on the playground, they came to me with their skinned knee, and I helped them wash it up and put a Band-Aid on it. I was known for that. I loved it. Then I got out of school. I have an associate's degree in nursing, the basis for my license as an RN. I have a BA in history, a BS in education, and a master's in nursing. And I love using each of those, and I do use each of those in the health department. It's a way to provide what services I can to this county as I work with this group. I am available, my phone number's in the book, believe it or not, and I do return phone calls if somebody needs to get a hold of me. I love helping people.
Thank you. Rachel, what's your motivation for pursuing one of these seats?
I'm also retired, and I'm reminded of what my parents both preached and lived, which is giving back to your community is not an option, it's an absolute requirement. You live there, by golly, you help, and you help as much as you can. So that's, the trick is finding something that fits your experience and your skill set. And for me, the Johnson County Community Health Services Board definitely fits with my skill set and my experience. One of the things that I think has given me a rich background is that, number one, I have a rich background in health and in researching the best ways to administer healthcare and in running a business. So those three things, I think I can really be a good contributor to this board, and I feel like Darlene said, I like to help. I do like to help, especially if it's something that I can. I enjoy working in a team to accomplish well thought out goals. I've attended the meetings at JCCHS for the last year and a half, and I think I can bring some really good stuff to them. My goal is, if I can get in there and help make it even better than it already is.
KK, what is your motivation for pursuing one of these seats?
Well, I mentioned that I have served on the board for the past 11 years, and as y'all have mentioned, when I first came on the board, I didn't understand the scope of all the services they provided. And it truly took me, as you've probably noticed in attending some of the meetings, a good year probably to be familiar with the programs and the sources of funding and all of that, and I'm still learning. I have worked with 5 different administrators, and I now feel that we really have a very cohesive body that's eager to expand into our community more and meet needs. And I really feel that my longevity and my experience will be beneficial to the board.
Thank you. One more. David, what's your motivation for pursuing one of the seats?
Well, I guess everybody sitting up here on this stage, first off, is interested in helping and making things better. But what really got me to thinking about this happened, late last spring, early last summer, and I would like to read the core values. Dedicated, competent, and professional employees provide compassionate care to all clients. 2, establish community partnerships to address unmet needs and issues. And 3, effective management of resources and programs assure continuity and growth. Last summer, we started doing an addition on our house, and I had a inspector come sit on my front porch and tell me that although what I was doing was within the law, he didn't like it, and he wanted to change the policy, but the administrator told him he couldn't because the Republicans were in control of the county commissioners. So that really made me start looking at it, and he was afraid that if they changed it, they would loosen up the rules and regulations. So I really started looking at it, and I hope to leave Johnson County better now.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this evening. All right, we're ready for 2 more seats. These are for 1 2-year expired term on the Johnson County Community Health Services Board, right?
Correct.
And I'll let each of the candidates introduce themselves, starting with the lady. Is it on? There you go.
Hello, I'm Rhonda Davis. He knows me in microphones, we always have an issue. I'm Rhonda Davis. I am from Knob Noster. I graduated at State Fair Community College with my ADN for nursing. I have been with, I just recently retired from Johnson County Community Health. I was with Johnson County Community Health for 18 years. I attempted to retire 3 years ago, and COVID hit. And being the public health coordinator, I felt it was my duty to the county to continue working with Johnson County Community Health. So I did so. And that was, in fact, a arduous journey dealing with COVID for the county. As you all know, we dealt with hundreds and hundreds of cases in the county, along with a lot of deaths in the county. But I still feel as, even though I'm no longer employed there, I feel strongly about the agency, and I continue to want to work for the agency, and if working through the board, that is my goal.
All right. Kit?
Well, I'll be short and sweet. I'm Kit Lindsay. I grew up in this town. I ran a business for about 40 years and retired from that. And I was asked to fill the board seat that was being vacated, and I can't remember who that was. But anyway, to fill that board seat. So for the last 4 months, I've been serving on the board. And I've enjoyed working with the folks. And you know, a board's mission is governance. You know, we're not supposed to be down there drawing blood and digging holes. We're governance, and I like governance. And I think that if I'm asked to continue for the next 2 years, I'll do a great job. And I think Rhonda would do a great job too, as far as that goes. We're both probably highly qualified. It just comes down to, I don't know, who you think would do the better job.
All right, thank you. You get to start first with the first
Oh, all right.
question.
Okay.
So hold on to that.
First.
All right.
Oh, see which one is first here. I don't even know. Number 4 is the first one. Are there resources Johnson County Community Health Services currently provides that should be abandoned or diverted? Please explain.
Well, I know these questions have been answered so many times, y'all are getting tired of hearing this. But the only change I'm aware of discontinuing, the only change that I'm aware of, the only change that I am aware of is discontinuing to accept one of the insurance providers due to a low reimbursement rate. That's the only change that I'm aware of. It was causing financial drain on the organization. I'm not aware of any programs that are on the chopping block or actually being considered for adoption either way.
All right. Same question for Rhonda. Let me read it. Are there resources Johnson County Community Health Services currently provides that should be abandoned or diverted?
No. We currently serve the community to the best of our capacity. Through home health, WIC, public health. We have added more physical therapists and PTAs to our agency to increase our home health agency. And public health, we've added actually 2 new nurses in that area. That scares me. 2 new nurses, and I would not have left had I did not feel that the agency was in strong hands and in good hands to continue public health the way it has been.
Okay, you get to answer first on this one.
Okay.
And the question is, number 2. What role should the Community Health Board have in managing and supporting mental health in our community?
Well, mental health is in the forefront of everyone's eye at this point with the recent murders that were done. Mental health is always in the forefront. The only mental health agency that we have currently in the area is Compass Health, and they primarily deal with alcohol and drug abuse patients. The closest mental health agency would be in Kansas City, and that's where we refer. But I do agree with when they were answering the questions earlier. Education and having the availability of information to patients that walk in who potentially would have questions about mental health issues, and our home health nurses have that available to them so they can give it to family members if need be, and to have that available to the community for anyone walking into the agency would have that information, be readily available. Thank you.
All right, Kit, same question.
Well, Rhonda pretty much answered it. I mean,
She did.
I mean, she really did. I mean, we all know that the mental health is a concern in our town and our service provider area, and we see the homeless folks walking around. We know there's a lot of drugs being used. Currently, dealing with the mental health, that's a big deal. There's a lot of moving parts, and we're not big enough to take that on. I mean, that is a specialized deal. Right now, like Rhonda said, the alcohol and drug stuff's referred out to Compass. But we had firsthand experience in the emergency room. The emergency rooms in our hospital here is clogged with mental health problems, and we do need to do something about it, but it's beyond me what the answer is. I mean, it really is beyond me. If Kansas City's the closest place to send these folks, then obviously there's a void there that needs to be filled, but I certainly can't help with that.
Okay, we'll move on to question 5. Get first. How should Johnson County Community Health Services improve the communication with the public about what services are available to our community?
Well, we have a communications officer, Carrie, and that's her job. And her full-time job, as far as I know, is to get the word out. And so it's not my specialty area, but I know that she's exploring Facebook and any of the social media stuff. And I think there's some talk about like setting up some fairs and farmers markets, things like that. But there's somebody that works on that full time, and I'm sure given the time and the resources, they'll be able to do a good job.
Okay, Rhonda, same question. How should Johnson County Community Health Services improve the communication with the public about what services are available?
Carrie Lewis is our liaison for communications, and she is on Facebook. She keeps our website going, updates the website as often as she can. As far as communication with the public, I mean, that's number one, and it should be number one for Johnson County. So people are comfortable in contacting us if they have a problem or they have an issue. When they were speaking earlier about someone telling is a Republican, I'm like, we're all over there. What? But it is, and I'm hoping that person was joking. But as far as communications, let's keep those lines open. We have a lot of partners in the area. We have the university, we have the hospital, we have different partners in the area. We have the radio station that we visit once a month from the agency, from different departments in the Johnson County Community Health that visits with Woody or Marion about things that are going on. But we do need to keep the communication open with the public.
Thank you for mentioning that.
You're welcome.
Okay. Number 3, what are key strategies for improving public health in our community? You get to go first.
Public health, and right now, public health is working with lead prevention. We have two major contracts, one's being through child care health and CCHC, and as a CCHC provider, and maternal child health is MCHS through the state. That's the grant that we have that supports a goal. Our major goal through Johnson County has been lead prevention. We are considered a high-risk state because of the ages of the homes in the area, and because we have a lead battery factory here in the area. Even though you may think, well, I live in a new home, what was there before your home was built? If you think about tearing down a home, the lead paint that was on the older home that was destroyed, it's in the soil. Kids are outside playing in the soil. That soil can end up in your carpeting. Younger babies can be on that carpeting and can actually get soil on their hands. Everything goes in children's mouths, so the lead goes directly into. Lead has been associated with learning disabilities in children. That's why lead is a primary for public health at this time. Other than that, through our other programs, immunization, STD testing, labs, those are the other things that we work through public health.
All right, Kit, same question, and it is, what are key strategies for improving public health in our community?
Well, every year, I believe it's every year, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a community health needs assessment done. Is it annually? Every 3 years? And so, of course, we look at that and react to that. Another thing is, as folks come in and are asking for services, we would react to that.
Sure.
But as far as knowing specifically what those things are, I can't provide you with any specifics like Rhonda could. But basically, we just react to what's going on, what the needs are out in the community.
Okay, ready for the last one?
Yeah, let's do it.
That would be number one, and I think this is probably as good a question as there is to end on. What is your motivation for pursuing one of the seats?
Well, I was asked to fill the spot that someone was vacating, and Stuart, okay, yeah, Stuart. And actually, there were 4 of us that were asked to fill that spot, and any one of us 4 would have been fine. And I went last, and I guess I charmed him enough that I got the spot. But anyway, I have enjoyed working with the folks, and I'm retired. I've got the time to spend, and I do believe that giving back to your community is very important. I've been on several boards before, and I enjoyed it. And I would enjoy it if I get to do it again, and I think Rhonda would make an excellent member too. So either one of us would do a great job for you.
All right, Rhonda, the question, I'll read it for you, but I don't think I need to. What is your motivation for pursuing one of the seats?
Well, I could not run prior, even for the position when Donna left the agency, the board, because I was still employed. After I retired, or became retired, I said that was my priority. I wanted to be still a part of the agency because I strongly believe in the current staff that we have there and the current programs that we have there, and I want to keep those programs going. I know Kit from being on the board, and he is a strong part of our board at this point. I think either one of us could do the job, but I am retired now.
Yeah.
So
And welcome to the club. I haven't seen you in meetings yet.
It's great. But, again, I think I know enough about the agency, maybe not being as a board member, but I do still feel like I'm a part of the agency, and I want to continue to do so. And I would appreciate your vote, whether you vote for Kit or you vote for me. Share it. We could share the vote. It would be lovely if you could vote for me, but if you vote for Kit, it's okay.
I got a closing statement that we probably both agree on this. And Ron is in a unique position, and she would make a very good board member because she has intimate knowledge. She's worked for that outfit for almost 20 years. So she knows, she knows from the bottom to the top of that thing. So she has unique background. But listen, a board's job, and this is pretty much any board, whether it's a hospital or whatever, so the board's job is to provide oversight and a hive mind to support the executive director. The executive director is the board's only employee and has no business being involved in the day-to-day operation of the organization. This is where a lot of boards get in trouble. The board reviews and sets policy based on the executive director's recommendations. The board acts as a liaison between the community and the organization and can take complaints and concerns to the executive director. A good board has members with different backgrounds and skill sets that can provide multiple perspectives when a concern arises. So you can have mechanics up here, you can have nurses up here, you can have bankers up here, but they got to understand that we're there to help the executive director and to make sure that they are getting all the support they need for the community. And that's it.
Thank you both very much.
Forget together.
Everybody ready? Our next contestants are for Western Missouri Medical Center's Board of Trustees. 1 seat available. We have 2 candidates. And again, I'll go ladies first. Stephanie?
Introduce myself?
Yep, introduce yourself. You have, I think it's 2 minutes to do that.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, I have lived in Dulin County since I, oh,
So just
can't
turn
hear
green.
me.
If it turns green, it's on.
It's on.
Is it on?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I have lived in Johnson County since I was 3 years old. Without telling you how old I am, that's been a really, really long time. I've been married to my husband for Terry for 39 years. I'm a proud mama of 2, and I have 3 beautiful grandchildren. I have a bachelor's degree in healthcare administration, and I'm currently working towards my master's degree in public health. I have worked in the healthcare field from some form or fashion for over 30 years, starting out as a medical assistant for Dr. Hugh Hanna many years ago. Then I became an ultrasound tech, and then I held my first management position for Dr. Aztec and Dr. Shudarati. I'm a former employee of Western Missouri, where I managed multiple medical clinics. While I was there, I had the honor of being in charge of opening Building Block Pediatrics, Express Care, and the Cancer Center. I've served on several outreach committees, as well as preparing the facility for Joint Commission and rural health care inspections, and I'm familiar with the hospital's day-to-day operations, which I feel is very essential for this position. I have a knowledge of the operating budget, and I appreciate what it's like being an employee and what struggles they're facing. Currently, I'm working as the administrator for the Johnson County Community Health Services, where I'm expanding the services there. We're working hard trying to make it grow and trying to serve the residents of this county. And I'm proud to say that I'm also a board member of Survival House.
Okay, Greg?
Thank you, Woody. I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight, the Chamber of Commerce, and of course, Marion Woods for moderating yet again. My name is Greg Hassler, and I'm a longtime resident of Johnson County and Warrensburg. I am part owner of KOKO Radio, KWKJ Radio, sports director and general manager at the radio stations. I'm also the voice of UCM Athletics. I do Mules football and Mules and Jennings basketball on the UCM Sports Radio Network. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration from Park University, a master's degree from the University of Central Missouri in mass communication. I've been on the board for 8 years now, and it's been quite an honor serving on that board. And over that 8-year time period, I've received numerous amounts of training, and I'm just a handful of Board of Trustees members, past and present, that have received the Governance of Excellence Award. And in my time on the Board of Trustees, I have served every position on the board, including chairman 3 separate times, 1-year stint each time. I'm also the liaison to the foundation. The foundation is an awesome organization to Western Missouri Medical Center. I've received extensive training as in that position as well at several different conferences, so I can be a better board member to the foundation and help them to continue to grow.
All right, keep the mic.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to start, I've got them written down here, with the question that is listed as number 2 probably on your list, but it's number 1 on mine because I've changed them around. What should Western Missouri Medical Center's role be in managing and supporting mental health in our community?
Yeah, that's it's a great question. At the hospital, we have taken several steps. When a mental health patient is presented to the emergency room or presented actually in the hospital room, we have real-time capabilities of helping that person out with telemedicine. I mean, it is automatic, it's real-time, 24 hours a day, we can take care of that. And then the big thing about mental health, partnerships. You have to be able to partner with organizations. Right now, I know our exec team partners with law enforcement. They partner with Compass Health. You have to have those relationships and those partnerships in mental health to help deal with that, because it's a really tough issue. It affects our county, it affects every county, it affects the state. Also, there's a community health needs assessment. Kid talked about that a little bit. It's been going on for 9 years. And when the community evaluates health needs, mental health, it's one of the top ones. And we have to be able to figure out the best way to combat that. And I think at the hospital right now, we're doing about as good of a job as we can, but there's plenty of room for improvement.
All right, Stephanie, the question is, what should Western Missouri Medical Center's role be in managing and supporting mental health in our community?
So like Greg mentioned, we do have the community. I'm sorry. Yes.
Is that better?
We want to get you.
I'm not a pro like you on the radio all the time. I'm a little disadvantaged here. Like Greg was talking, we do have the community health needs assessment, and I am part of that team. I am not part of the mental health team, but I am part of the affordable medical and dental care team, which is a subcommittee of the China group. I do feel like mental health is a huge issue in this county. I think it's one that we hear about all the time, every day in the news we hear about it, and it's something that we need to address. I would like to see Western Missouri work on that and try to get providers. I do feel like that it is easier to be seen because we are partnering with community partners, with Compass and other agencies that's come in and had a lot of counseling. We've seen a lot of those opening in town, and I think it's great that we are doing that, and you're making me really nervous with you.
Okay, you get to keep the microphone because you get to answer first on the next one.
Okay.
And it's your question 4, but it's what I've got as number 2. A challenge that other rural hospital boards have faced is being acquired by a competitor. What factors would you consider in determining your willingness to support a bid to purchase the hospital from a competing hospital?
All right, well, even when I was working at Western Missouri, is that better? Sorry. When I was working at Western Missouri, I'd always heard the rumors we're gonna get bought out by a larger hospital, a bigger organization. My simple answer is I'm not in favor for it. I really believe in a rural, small community hospital, and I would not support being purchased by someone like HCA or St. Luke's. When that happens, you lose your personal touch. An employee becomes just a number, and I believe that every employee should matter. Financially, I understand it is hard to maintain that rural feel, and I know we hear about it all the time. Hospitals closing down because they can't keep the funds, they don't have enough funds to stay open. But I think I feel strongly that we have to make every effort to keep the doors open as a rural hospital. And that's a reason why I feel like we need to offer a lot of outreach services to our patients and keep them here in Johnson County.
All right, Greg, I'll read the question here again. It's rather cumbersome. A challenge that other rural hospital boards have faced is being acquired by a competitor. So what factors would you consider in determining your willingness to support a bid to purchase Western Missouri Medical Center from a competing hospital?
First of all, I am pro-Warrensburg. I am pro-Western Missouri Medical Center. We have worked extremely hard so this would not happen. When I first got on the board, flip of a coin, it was kind of questionable, but now we are strong. But if it did happen, and the only other choice was to close the hospital or sell to a public company, assurances would have to be at the top of the list. We would have to have assurances that our 702 employees are safe. The services that we have developed and grown are safe. The doctors that we have recruited, top-notch doctors, pulmonologists, critical care physicians, that they are safe. We have to have those assurances. We have to have local control. If a public company comes in, they're going to bring their CEO, they're going to bring their CFO, they're going to bring people in to control the hospital. What's going to be the board's role at that point? So we have to have local control, but we've worked really, really hard, so that is not even remotely on the table right now.
All right, thank you. Keep the mic because you're next with this one. It's number 3. What is the Western Missouri Medical Center Board's role in providing a more transparent billing statement?
Oh, okay. Billing. This is a fun one. This is a fun one. I will tell you this. I have gotten bills and I've been very frustrated. I know you have gotten bills. You've been very frustrated. When I got on the board 8 years ago, this problem would not have occurred because you would have never have gotten a bill. We were right in the middle of changing to different software companies, and we started it way too soon. We got out way too far in front of it. The ball was in motion when a couple of new board members came on, and at that point, when that thing was moving downhill, you're not going to stop it. So what we have done is we have changed the software a little bit, and we have changed personnel because of this. It was put us in dire straits. But things are better. There's plenty of room for improvement. Trust me, I see it all the time. And we're very proactive. If somebody calls us and tells us about a bill, we don't wait till the next board meeting to bring it up. We're on the phone immediately with the exec team and say, hey, so-and-so has got a problem with the bill. We need to handle that right now. So it doesn't wait a month. So we're very proactive in taking care of all billing issues. And we're trying to make things easier. There's an online payment now, and you can get your bill. We're working on a situation where you get your bill text to you, and maybe even pay through text. So it's ongoing. I know it's frustrating. I know it's not great, but it is getting better. It's going to continue to get better.
All right, Stephanie. What is Western Missouri Medical Center's board's role in providing a more transparent billing statement?
So I, like Greg, is very frustrating. I get it. I was there when Cerner was implemented, so I understand the frustrations we heard from all the patients and the community members talking about their bills and how they didn't get their bills or how their bills were wrong. So I've been through all that with Western Missouri, and I totally agree that Western Missouri needs transparent billing. Nothing's more frustrating than getting the bill in the mail and you don't know what it's for. You're taking your EOB, you're matching it up with your statement, trying to hopefully figure out what you are paying the bill for. Or you're like me, I just call the girls up when a patient counts and I say, hey, do a girl a solid and tell me what this is for. So, and I feel like that just causes more work for them. I feel like we need to get this under control. We need to figure out how to get the statements to print off properly. I know I can walk in and get an itemized statement. So I just feel like there's a resource out there we maybe haven't tapped into. Maybe there's something at Cerner we can do to try to get that to happen. I just feel like too that we need open communication, and I would like to see the patients informed about the process. The more information we share with the community regarding what's being done, the more likely we are to trust the providers and the organization. And if we build community trust, the community will continue to come to Western Missouri for services. I've heard, like I said, I've heard it and heard it and heard it, and I would love to see it fixed.
All right, keep the microphone. You get the first shot at this one. It's question 5. What is your significant concern in Western Missouri Medical Center, and how would you use this position to make improvements?
Well, I'm going to be honest, I really don't have a lot of concerns with Western Missouri Medical Center. I think there's some opportunities that can be pursued by Western Missouri Medical Center to provide valuable services to our community members. Most of all, we need to offer services that improve someone's quality of life and to save a life. Retention of staff and attracting new talent to the organization is an issue everywhere, not just at Western Missouri, at the hospital, it's everywhere. So create a model, an employee model that will sustain and retain employees would be and should be one of our goals. Employees need to know that they're valued. Traveling nurses and agency nurses need to be limited. I think we need to keep that money that we spend on those positions local so they can go back into the local economy and not off to a traveling nurse in another city. And we need to create long-term staff that will want to be a part of Western Missouri Medical Center.
All right, Greg, I'll ask you the same question for you. What is your significant concern in Western Missouri Medical Center, and how would you use this position on the board to make improvements?
The one thing you cannot do, you cannot choose your provider for health care when you're headed to the emergency room. That is the front door to your hospital. 2,000 people a month go to the emergency room. It's like athletics at a university. People care about the score, not what happens in mathematics. So we have done a lot of work with the emergency room. We've changed our processes. We've changed the flow. We've changed the way you check in. We've changed the way you check out. We have remodeled. We have redecorated. We've changed doors. It's not enough. We've got to keep growing that. We've got to make sure it is better. I use the ER at Western Missouri Medical Center. My family uses it as well. So do most of you out there. We need to make that quality of care at a high level, not only to protect me and my family, that's selfish, but to protect all of us. So the ER, it's better, don't get me wrong, it is a lot better, but there is work to be done, and I think that's an area as a board that we talk about on a monthly basis, and I really think in the next several months, you'll see a change, you will see a difference in the ER at Western Missouri Medical Center.
All right, we have the final question. Greg, you're first with this one. save the best for last, I think, here. What is your motivation for pursuing the job?
The one thing I forgot to say on the last one is, one of the things I'm most proud of is that the hospital is a level 3 stroke, STEMI, and trauma center. So if you are suffering a stroke, you don't have to use half of your golden hour to get to Kansas City. You can get taken care of and save lives right here at RER in Warrensburg. Okay, so 8 years ago, I know where the hospital was. I see where it is right now. We've grown services. We've added great physicians. The physician recruitment is ongoing because people retire, people get older, things change. So we continue that, and that really keeps me going, that we bring in top-notch physicians. As I said, I exclusively receive all my medical care at Western Missouri Medical Center, whether it's getting a hip replaced or gallbladder, or I have a whole long list of things that I've done there. But I go there, my family goes there, and I know you go there. So if we can make it the best medical situation and the best medical care for you, by default, it's the best medical care for my family as well. So we work hard on that every day. We talk about it all the time in board members. And also, one thing real quick, Western Missouri Medical Center, I've been trying to get this in for a while, is not only about healthcare, it's about the economy. There's two things that companies look at, people look at when they move to a community. What's your education system and what's your healthcare? And I think we check both boxes, the hospital and our schools. And it's just a key thing for all of us.
All right, I'll read the question for Stephanie. What is your motivation for pursuing this role?
So I'm really glad this is one of the questions. I've been asked this several times. Why am I running for the board for the hospital? I truly believe in the hospital. I believe they make a huge difference in our community. And one of the reasons why I even left Western Missouri after 25 years of working there was because I felt there was times that we need to step aside for change. And I was ready for a change in my life, ready to pursue opportunities where my years of experience and knowledge would help me grow. I only wanted what was best for the organization, and change is good, and I'm not afraid of change. I feel like it helps us in our own personal growth and growth in the businesses that we work in. But my biggest motivation in running for the board is I want to create a community partnership to provide the best possible health care that our community and surrounding communities need. I want to see opportunities for uninsured and underinsured to seek medical care. These services are really lacking in our community. I want to keep our community members in Johnson County seeking medical care closer to home and not traveling long distances to get the services that they require. By serving on the board, I just feel like I can continue to serve the organization that I invested so many years in, but just in a different capacity.
That's it? Thank you, Jones. I flipped the coin to see who went first, and it's always ladies first. Yeah, sorry.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Close enough?
Yep.
Okay. I'm Jan Jones. I've been a resident of Warrensburg for over 50 years, 45 of them. I've been married to my husband, Lyndall. We have two sons, Eric, who is a UCM alum and lives in Raymore with his wife, Missy, and 5 of our grandchildren. And Brian, who works for the city of Warrensburg, lives here with his wife, Brittany, who is a teacher at Crest Ridge, and our other 2 grandchildren. The grandkids range in age from 9 to 20, and we're proud to say that the oldest is currently a sophomore at UCM. I love spending time with my family. I enjoy walks, music, shopping, visiting with friends, and I've also been known to drag home what I think would be a fun new hobby that becomes a new job for Lyndall, like our chickens. We just keep going, right?
Yeah, you got 2 to 5 minutes.
2 to 5 minutes.
Yep.
I have a history of public involvement in Warrensburg. I was Johnson County's elected recorder of deeds for over 14 years. During that time, I helped lead the evolution of the office, leaving behind a manual, cumbersome, labor-intensive system, and implementing a new state-of-the-art records management, financial management, and point-of-sale software system, including electronic recording of documents and documentation certification. I'm proud of my accomplishment as Johnson County's Recorder of Deeds. My office was the one other recorders called for assistance and advice. I was an active member of the Recorders Association of Missouri, serving on the executive board and legislative committee, and I was elected by my peers to serve as president of the association for an unprecedented 3 years. My other experiences include working as a customer service representative for Intersys, the lead factory here in town, various positions with the Area Agency on Aging, and working as a legal secretary for a local attorney. I am a member of the Warrensburg Chamber. I serve on the board of Johnson County Cancer Foundation. I have served on the University Extension Council, Johnson County United Way Board, and I am a 1999 graduate of the Klein Leadership Program. I retired as Recorder of Deeds when my term expired December 31st of 2018. One of my goals for retirement was to travel. During 2019, we did. Lyndall and I traveled to Aruba, Iceland, Michigan, Oklahoma, and I went on a 12-day sister trip to Eastern Europe. Then there was 2020. My hopes for Warrensburg. I want Warrensburg to be the city of choice, the city that is easy to do business with, attracting and welcoming new development, and promoting growth. Developers are going outside the city limits. It's time to think outside the box. I'm excited for the city's new sidewalk program to begin. I've wanted for years for the sidewalks to go from one school to the next, so all the schools are connected by a sidewalk. And I support the city's ballot issue requesting voters approve a 1 cent per dollar general sales tax increase. And they're going to talk about that later on, and there's a lavender sheet back there with information about that. Why am I running for city council? Well, I was asked, somebody called me, it was just a couple days before filing was ending, and no one had filed for it, and the friend, she called and she said, well, would you do it? And I said, no. And she said, but we need to get somebody in there, and would you consider doing it? And so I did some talking with Lyndall and the kids and friends, and finally I decided that I have the time, I'm retired, I love Warrensburg, it's wherever I live, and I'm interested in what's happening within the city, and I want to see Warrensburg continue to grow. I'm almost up. Okay.
You're 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds, okay, okay.
I don't think you're supposed to answer all the questions.
So, thank you for attending the Chamber's Candidate Forum, and I, again, thank you, and I'd appreciate your vote, because it really will make a difference. I want more votes than he gets.
We'll see about that, Jan.
You're up, Jim. 2 to 5 minutes.
Okay, for those that don't know me, my name's Jim Kushner. I've been here in Warrensburg all but about 3 months of my life. We moved here as an Air Force family back in the late 50s and have been here ever since. My last job was working for the city of Warrensburg. I was in the fire department for 39 years, and during that 39 years I went from being a volunteer firefighter to ended up being the fire chief. During that time, another department director and I were able to help the city by both being sharing the city manager's position when it was open, until we hired a new one. I've seen lots and lots and lots of changes in the city of Warrensburg, and lots of things that have gotten better and will continue to get better. Why did I run for the city council? Some days I ask myself that. And presently, I'm on the end of my 3rd year of the first term. I'm presently serving as the mayor. And I believe Mr. Brandt said it early on, that this is a voluntary position, and yes, it is a voluntary position, and yes, it can be very hard. The reason I ran was, I was asked to run, but I also have a basis in the way I believe in things should be and the way I got raised. My parents worked in a lumberyard here and the hospital. My mother retired 4 times from Western Missouri. But when change comes about or change needs to occur, there's 2 ways that you can handle it. 1, you can sit and complain about it, or 2, you can try to do something about it. And that's the way I've always done things, and that's more or less why I'm on the council, is to change things where we need to, help out where we have to, make Warrensburg the great place that it already is. There are things that we need to improve upon. We're working on that. We're working on traffic. Stormwater. Pretty much every subject that everybody brought up tonight, we're working somewhere because we're all partners with them, and we want to continue to be partners with them. And that's what makes us a great, vibrant community. I also, being an employee, past employee, I have a little bit more insight on what goes on at time to time and what the employees can and can't do. And our employees are a great group of people. They operate at the minimum amount of people that you can have to get a job done, and they work with each other to get those jobs done. We need to relish them. We need to make sure that we take care of them to get our services the way that we are. So I too agree with Jan that the 1-cent sales tax, do we want to raise taxes? No. But the only way the city gets is tax money. Everybody in the world is facing more expensive fees right now, and so are we as the city providing the services that we give. And we provide the services that you ask for, and as a citizen that have been here forever, I enjoy being on the council. I enjoy helping Warrensburg. I've been helping Warrensburg for decades and decades. And I support the new sales tax, and I'm glad to have Jan on, and I will have more votes than her.
Jim and Jan, thank you very much. Johnson County Clerk Diane Norcross Thompson will be here to explain ballot issues.
Good evening. I don't think this is on. Gotta get the green light. I think I just turned it off. Okay. Good evening. Thank you all for attending here in person, or for those that will maybe be watching online. I think it's always important for voters to educate themselves on the candidates and issues that are going to be on their ballot, and so I appreciate the time you've taken tonight to be here. I have to say this has been one of the most amicable candidate forums I've ever been to. I really thought Kit and Rhonda were going to break up in a kumbaya. Okay, so I brought one sample ballot with me for all of you to share. No, I'm just kidding. There are 6 ballot styles for the 3 polling locations in the city of Warrensburg. So I did not bring all of the ballot styles with me, but I do have some booklets that are going to be on a table at the back of the room. Oh, Suzanne's waving them now. On the very front, there is the phone number and an email address and the county website. You can use any one of those to contact voter registration and have a sample ballot sent to you by email, by mail. You might not get it before the election. Or you can come to the courthouse and pick up a sample ballot to take with you. There are 4 issues on the ballot that will pertain to all voters of Johnson County. One of them, most of them you've heard about tonight. The Johnson County Community Health Board, the 2 races, the hospital board, and then the county marijuana question. And that's the one I'm going to talk to you about now. So Johnson County Commissioners voted to put this question before the voters on the April ballot. And the ballot language reads, shall Johnson County, Missouri impose a countywide sales tax of 3% on all tangible personal property retail sales of adult use marijuana sold in Johnson County, Missouri. And so that question will go out to all voters. And if passed, the county would implement a 3% sales tax on the recreational use marijuana. That tax, if passed, along with the city of Warrensburg's tax, would not go into effect until October 1st. All voter-approved sales taxes do not get implemented until the first day of the second quarter after the election in which they are approved. So you won't see an immediate increase in your taxes, and in October you'll completely forget that this passed and you'll be calling and wanting to know why your taxes went up. That's why. So I'll be around if anybody has any questions. I have the booklets in the back. If you need a sample ballot, please reach out to the voter registration office and they will be happy to provide you with one. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. And our next guest is the Warrensburg City Manager, Danille Dulin. She will explain the proposed tax increases for the city. Apparently he's going to have help.
That must be big tax. Yeah, that's funny.
I don't know whether they're here for protection or what.
So, thank you all for having us. I echo what Diane shared. We do appreciate you all coming out to inform yourselves about who will be running the organizations and a lot of these community boards that we have that are very important to our city and our county, our community, and our economy. We truly do appreciate that. We are here today to talk a little bit about the 1 cent per dollar sales tax that the City Council has put on the ballot for Warrensburg voters. If you live in the county, unfortunately, you will not have an opportunity to vote on this. But we're asking to dedicate 1/2 cent of that for public safety. The other 1/2 cent will be dedicated to capital improvements. When we say capital improvements, we are talking streets, sidewalks, stormwater, those items that you see when you drive around town. I want to talk a little bit about currently our general fund is 11.4 million, and 40% of that comes from sales tax. Right now, the city's general fund sales tax is 1 cent. We are asking to raise that another 1 cent. Where our general fund dollars are currently allocated, 50% is dedicated to public safety. Another 15% is public works, 10% is community development, and then the rest of that goes towards those support services. So IT, city manager's office, city clerk, finance, HR, those things that support our employees. Another way of looking at how we allocate these dollars is how those dollars are spent. So right now, 70% of our general fund is spent on personnel. So that is salaries, benefits, health insurance, dental insurance, workers' compensation, loggers, which is the retirement system that our employees are in. That only leaves about 15, so then if we have to keep the lights on, we have to pay utilities, electricity, water, gas. We also have to buy supplies for our employees, and so that makes up another 10%. So when we're talking about supplies, interestingly enough, that's where the PPE equipment for fire protection, so the things that they put on when they run into the fire, and then things like tasers for our police officers. So that's another 10% of our budget. That only leaves about 15% for projects, programs, such as the bulky item pickup that we try to do in the spring every year. Stormwater projects, we do not have a dedicated funding source for stormwater projects, so we do pay for those things out of our general fund. When we talk about dedicating half of that cent to capital improvement, we will be looking at trying to advance our annual street maintenance. Right now, we only have $450,000 that comes in through motor fuel tax to perform maintenance on the 120 miles of streets that we have in our community. So that will be very important, and we will be very aggressive. We do have flyers in the back, so if you have an opportunity to pick one of those up, it does talk about, and we'll send you to our website to talk about some of those specific capital improvement projects that we do have planned. One of the other things that we want to use these funds for is that to upgrade our snow and ice removal equipment that we have for Public Works. Right now we use sand and salt, and that just, when we hit those really cold temperatures that we've seen over the last several years, we're very equipped to address the snow, but with those really cold temperatures, we have a hard time cutting that ice on our streets, and so we want to move towards, we want to move towards a more sophisticated system of being able to manage the ice that we've been seeing over the last several years. I do want to give the two chiefs an opportunity to talk a little bit about how this 1 cent sales tax will affect their two departments. I do think that's important because that is, well, again, that's 50% of our budget. So I'll turn it over to, who wants to go first?
Good evening, I'm Ken Jennings, I'm Fire Chief of your Warrensburg Fire Department. I've been on, I spent my entire career with the Warrensburg Fire Department, born and raised in Warrensburg, so it's exciting to get to serve in this role and kind of drive the department of the future. Two main areas of focus that this additional revenue will do for us. One is focusing on personnel. It's kind of a two-part piece. The first being, we have always been a very high-performing department. Often our well-trained firefighters are recruited by other departments. We hold a very high standard. And what we've seen, like everybody's experienced in that workforce, is those opportunities are available anywhere that they want to go right now. So working on salaries and making those more competitive is a priority so that we can keep and retain that talent that we have. And then the other part, the biggest piece is right now we operate our daily minimum staffing 7 personnel. So that's what you're guaranteed if something's on fire or you're stuck in your car or something like that. It's well below the national standard of, we shoot for about 15 in 14 minutes on a residential house fire. So we're looking over the next 3 to 5 years as we build that up to add an additional 12 firefighting positions, eventually having a 3rd in-service company. And then down the road, working towards that 3rd fire station. That's something that has been discussed in the community for several years. The need is there, but we can build a building with money, but we have to have the trained, qualified staff to staff it. So that'll be our priority on building up those personnel over the next few years as we prepare for that 3rd fire station. The other component is equipment. Like everything, it's expensive. The fire truck we bought 5 years ago is double in price. So what was about $600,000, and we could get about a year and a half. It's now about $1 million, and about 4 years out from the time we order it. So historically, we've worked through bond issues or tapping into reserve funds, and that's something that isn't as easy to manage those big capital purchases to make sure that we have the equipment on the streets to serve you. So those are the big areas of focus. I'll pass it down to Chief Munsterman.
Thank you, Chief Jennings. Appreciate that. Ms. Taylor, if you could have them go ahead and hold the stop sign up when you're ready for me to stop talking, because I was watching and hoping that they would do that for Chief Jennings, but they didn't. So all joking aside, Mayor Kushner brought up when we first started talking about this tax. He's on the city council. He was mayor and he worked for the city. And I'm not taking it lightly. I don't like taxes at all. I live in this county, I have a family, and it's hard to make it work, right? And anyway, Mayor Kushner was there, and I just straight asked him, can we do this without any other way? And he's been involved in the city, been on the council, been part of the, as a city manager, and he agreed there wasn't. So I trust that, and I know with dedicating 50% towards public safety that we're going to move both departments in the right direction. and continue to build. It's not been easy. Since 2015, we've had 47 officers and 2 training officers go through our department from 2015 to now. So you think about that. We're a department of 36. At one time, I thought it was 24 when we first started putting this presentation on, and we put pencil to paper, it's 49. That's 47 officers and 2 trainees that have left our department, and most all of them was due to pay. We started out at $18.25 an hour, and that's about $6 less than Sedalia an hour. That's what we just learned yesterday. So we started looking at market adjustments a year and a half ago, and City Manager Dulin was gracious enough to push that forward, and we moved from 16 to the 18.25. We're still $3 behind in our local, other surrounding agencies, just the local. We're trying to compete locally, but not only locally, towards Sedalia. So that's a big difference. It's hard to compete and retain officers when you're that far behind. So we're a department of 36. We've had 49 people come and go since 2015. Some of that's been due to retirements. We've had a big push on retirements, and that's hard to replace. But it's not all that either. So that's going to be part of this initiative, is replacing those officers. Right now we're down 7, and actually we're down 9, but 7 positions we're down. We have 1 that's hurt, that's injured right now, so that's number 8, and number 9 is back at the military. They've got called back for duty. So that's 9 positions we're down. We have a minimum staffing of 3 per shift. We're filling that with overtime. Our officers are signing up for overtime right now, but it comes a point in time to where they get tired as well, right? And we talk about mental health and want to keep our officers having the best mental health possible. Being police officers is not an easy job. It's mentally taxing. So in order to do that, we're going to be adding staffing. We're going to rebuild. We are working on rebuilding. We want to get our 7 positions back full staff. Once we get that done, we look to add 7 more positions in the future. That'll be a 3 to 5 year plan. Unless everybody just says, hey, Warrensburg's the greatest place to come work, and they all show up on our doorstep. But that hasn't been the case yet. It is a great place to work, but we're just not seeing people want to be police officers right now. So that's the other key piece. So we're going to have to pay correctly and retain the officers that we have. That's what's scary, is the ones that have been dedicated, just like with the fire department, that have been here for 10, 15 years are still here, but I don't want to lose them to Sedalia or lose them to Lee Summit. We just lost one, went back to Independence PD for, I think, a $10,000 sign-on bonus and $15,000 more a year. That's hard to compete with. So we're concentrating on staffing, and then vehicles. Since 2015, our police cars were they're around 42 to 50,000 to equip, to purchase a police car and equip them. But now we've added dash cam videos, we've added new radios, and the vehicle's price have went up. It's going to be about 92 to 100,000 just for a patrol car. So we purchased 3 new cars last year, so we are working to replace, but we still have 2014, 2015 cars on the streets. So that's hard miles on police cars. But you didn't hold up the stop sign. I'm going to stop now. I wish you would. I'm not going to ramble anymore. Thank you for your time.
If I could just add one last thing. We do have a public meeting tomorrow at the community center. So we will be, the 2 chiefs and I and some other city staff will be there from 5 to 7 answering any additional questions you all may have about the 1 cent sales tax. And of course, we'll stick around and answer any additional questions if you all have some too. So, appreciate it.
I just have a couple of finishing remarks, closing remarks that I'll make now. So I have one correction. I misspoke earlier, and it was pointed out to me. You heard from candidates, you heard from 6 candidates seeking 2 seats for 4-year terms for the Johnson County Community Health Services Board, not the Board of Services. 2 different things in our community. Did I get it right that time? Great. You, in another race, you heard from 2 candidates seeking a seat on the same board, but that is only a 2-year term. Then you heard from 2 candidates seeking a seat on the Western Missouri Medical Center Board, as well as experts in our community on some ballot issues. And finally, 2 people seeking city council spots that are uncontested. So that's what we did here today. This is all in preparation for the election taking place on April 4th. Please be sure to vote. I want to thank again our venue for the evening, the American Legion Post 131. I want to thank our timekeepers for keeping us on target and on time. And I'd like to thank Marion Woods. Thank you all very much. Candidates will be invited to stay in the back and answer one-on-one questions. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.